Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm Gentleman Sergej. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine myself. And today we're gonna try something new. We're doing a movie workshop where we workshop movie ideas. I don't know. It's a thing.
Something like that.
So the idea is we start with a concept and we kind of build around that. We build a plot, I guess. I don't know. We'll see where this leads.
Yeah.
We'll just, start with one line and we'll end with a 100-page script. I don't know how long movie scripts are, by the way.
I don't know either. Probably really long because they have to specify everything that happens on screen.
Well, there's the script and then there's the storyboard, and so...
Yeah.
It also depends on the scene, and some you specify more, some you specify less. It also depends a little bit maybe on the... the director might also... some might need more instruction than others. So some writers might want more control than others, right? I'm sure there's a big variance there, but that's not the topic today. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna write our own movie, or rather, we're gonna outline our own movie because there's no way we're actually writing a script in a half hour or whatever podcast topic.
We could perhaps try ChatGPT for that, but no. Maybe next time, if we ever do that.
Because in this concept today, ChatGPT is in fact coming back from the future to kill us.
Basically, yeah.
We're doing time-traveling killer robots. And yes, that sounds like Terminator, but we hope to make our own thing. Which I guess the first question is, how do we set ourselves apart from Terminator? I guess you could either start by writing a film and then just hoping that it doesn't turn out to be Terminator, or you could start off from hey, we know this other thing exists, and then therefore differentiate ourselves that way.
Maybe let's not make them completely immortal and make them be more than just one robot that gets sent back.
That is a very good idea. That definitely differentiates Terminator. Well, there have been multiple Terminators, so usually one per movie. Or at least one evil one per movie, which actually brings me to an idea that I've had when I was thinking about this in the lead-up. How about, instead of trying to kill the savior of humanity, as it was in Terminator, they actually try to kill a bad guy. Or someone who will be a bad guy. And we get into the whole, would you kill baby Hitler type discussion, where
yeah
the killer robots, and could be something that isn't necessarily revealed in the beginning, right? There's just these robots that are sent from the future, and everyone's like, oh no, the AI uprising, and they're killing us all. It's no, actually, humans sent to those in a last-ditch effort to try to overthrow the ultimate dictator or something.
That would be an awesome twist.
I know, right?
Okay.
It's basically anti-Terminator, except it's also Terminator.
But the question is then, wouldn't in that case, a small squad of killer robots be better than, a lot of them? Or maybe even one.
Right. If it's Resistance sending the robots, then it shouldn't necessarily be a huge army, because if they have a huge robot army, why are they using it's a time travel technology? How could they be so big if they are the Resistance? That's an interesting one. Also, to be fair, right now we're just spitballing ideas, right? But if you go with many, the question still is, right, do you want a large swarm and it'd be more like a zombie invasion almost? Or whereas the overwhelming forces? Or do you actually want a squad to the point where you can take them out, but taking one out also doesn't inevitably end the thread, but there's maybe a known number of them, so that we can still very clearly see the progress of the protagonists. But because if it is this huge overwhelming army, we're gonna have to either end it with the robots actually winning, which could be fine, or with some way to disable them all, which usually ends with either like a convenient getting them all in one spot and then blowing them up or something, or with like the whole like, oh, one of them is actually the leader, and if we shoot him, the other ones will all go dormant, which is stupid.
It is really stupid. What I thought about right now is, like, we can have an army if we sell it as a time loop. Like, in the main timeline or whatever, the robots won. And in the future, to preserve that status quo, they send that same army back in time. To keep that, like, super dictator dead. And to preserve that timeline.
Okay. Yeah. So, wait, you're saying it's an army because they sent them back multiple times? Or how am I supposed to interpret that? Or is it just like they happen to have an army because they won? And thereby they're... Because...
Yeah, that second one.
I mean, then I have the question, like, how did they win, right? Because if they won with a small amount of robots, why did they now send a huge amount, I guess? And why is there any tension left?
No, it was always a big army. They had always won.
Oh. Well, I mean, I guess then the question is, how do they even know that what they're doing is right? Which I guess then we could go with the whole, hey, robots are sent from the future, and they tell everyone they find basically, like, hey, we're looking for this guy, he's gonna be really evil, we have to stop him. And then everyone's like, wait, how do you know that if you actually talk about your past? And then you could actually, like, spin it from that way. If we assume that, because if we assume they take out a bad guy, then obviously we have to do something to establish that he's bad, but the idea how I was imagining it has this whole moral conundrum of he isn't bad yet, so why kill him? Right? So that obviously doesn't... That then obviously brings up the question, if they come from a future where he was thwarted, like, I guess you could do the thing where it's like, oh yeah, time travelers always want to kill Hitler, and it's like, we know Hitler is a bad guy because he actually did his bad guy thing, and eventually he was stopped. I mean, technically he stopped himself, but like, his army was stopped. You get the idea. And so, I guess you could do something like that, where it's like, oh yeah, we won, but we want to win faster. Or you could go that, like, we just know he will be evil because that is how it was basically, like, we know this because in the past, when robots came to kill him, they said he was evil, and so now we're sending robots back to kill him because we know he's evil. And you actually have no actual basis in fact that anyone could necessarily draw from to build that. Then I guess the question would be, what does that add to the story? I just came up with this convoluted bootstrap, I guess, solution thing, and...
Yeah, I mean, I do like your idea more, where it's like, they, like, barely won, and send, like, a slightly larger group next time.
Yes. Which then obviously brings up the question, what do we now do to make it so that it's not... I mean, obviously the question is, when do we find it out, right, as well? But if we know that they won, and now they're sending a bigger group, maybe to an earlier point in time even, to fight him, it's like, well, now they should easily win, theoretically, right? And so the question then is, like, how do we sell it so that that isn't necessarily the case to maintain tension? Also, a question that we have to ask ourselves at some point is the obvious question with these sort of things: who wins? Like, when the timeline, like, does the timeline actually change, or do we just maintain the status quo? Because Terminator sort of started with like, oh yeah, the timeline stayed the same, right? Because the Terminator was sent to kill the mother of John Connor, where John Connor is a resistance hero. And obviously, she wins, and so the timeline stays the same, but the scattered apocalypse is still going to happen, because they didn't defeat the actual threat. They just defeated the threat at the moment, but not like the actual, like, larger threat, I guess. But then, later on, it's like, well, actually, the future's a bit uncertain, and then they were like, well, actually, the apocalypse is still happening, but it's later, and it's like,
mean, would it even make sense for the timeline to change?
Well, if we want the robots to win, then I guess the timeline wouldn't substantially change. But at the same time, if you want the robots to win, then what perspective is our movie taking, right? Because if we see it from the robots' perspective, which I mean would be interesting, but then you have this overwhelming force that's usually not that good for a perspective, right? You want usually like the underdog story. And so if we're showing the story of like this guy who, I guess that could be the thing, right? Where, I don't know if that makes sense, but they go back further in the past to try to kill him earlier so that he can't even do the bad stuff, right? But now, he's just some guy. And now everyone is like ostensibly on his side, right? Because some robots just came and wanted to kill this guy. Maybe he's even like, you know, like, I don't know, he volunteers in the community or something, like he's actually like popular in his community, right? So like, there's now all of these people that are like actually like ideologically want to help him. Where, I mean, obviously, if he's the bad guy later on, presumably he has an army or something, so like, he'd still, but there would definitely be more resistance than they would have expected, maybe, and then maybe the robots plot is complicated because they actually don't want to kill anyone else, right? Like, they don't want to create collateral damage because they're good guys, even if we don't know that. So they will always like use non-lethal means, and so they have a harder time than when they were fighting like the evil guy's army, and they were maybe more willing to go further, which you might not necessarily know in the beginning of the movie, but that
sounds so much more interesting. I love that.
I'm starting to realize that my process apparently is just coming up with the issues with the ideas and then just finding reasons for why they're not issues, which I guess is a fair writing process. I've never done something like this before.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
It's like, hey, a bigger army, presumably. Oh, actually, doesn't necessarily even have to be a bigger army. If they send them further back, it could also be that they send a smaller contingent because they expect to meet no resistance, and then all of a sudden, you know, they meet resistance.
Oh yes.
You're gonna have to probably at some point figure out some of the time travel rules, because I was gonna say, what always stops the future army from sending reinforcements, right? So it's like as soon as, and you generally have to. It's a problem with time travel stories, right? We kind of started big here, where there's always this conception of like when things happen in relation to one another, both within the timeline, but also within sort of the movie. And you know, the future can only react to something that happened in the past once it has actually happened in the movie in the past, which almost creates a sort of two-dimensional time stream where one is the actual like timeline and one is the movie, and those kind of sort of stuff progresses on it, and then, you know, time travel happens and it.
Yep. I mean, we can. I don't know how we could do that, but we could try something like. Have you seen the movie Edge of Tomorrow?
I have, yes. I believe I have. I
Okay.
can double check if it's a movie that I think it is, but
it's basically a guy that like lives through an alien invasion, but every time he dies, he respawns back at like the same time, and so he can like
it's a time loop.
Change the way he does things. Yeah. So maybe we can kind of sort of make the robots do that. Like also like with cuts back to like previous scenes and like them doing something differently to win a fight.
Yes, I generally like time loops, and I'm just questioning the idea of like time loops for what is ostensibly the antagonist, even if it is later revealed that they're benevolent force. But presumably, at the very least, in the first third half, we're gonna think that they're just killer robots from the future trying to kill this guy, right? Maybe, I don't know whether they reveal that they think he's evil, but we would definitely don't have any reason to suspect that he is evil right now, and, you know.
Yeah.
And so, if they're antagonists, first of all, the time loop is a lot harder, I think, to showcase. Because usually the time loop is very easy, right? Because you see the characters going through the time loop. And that seems weird to randomly jump back and now the scene is different. I mean, to be fair, I don't think I've seen it done before, so that I guess would in some way speak for it.
Oh, wait. What if it's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy where because he was killer robots were sent to kill him, he becomes the evil guy in the first place.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then they have to fight them the normal way, and because of that they send killer robots back.
So, okay. So
it's still a closed time loop, but
yeah. The people who would build the robots barely won. Then they, build up the utopian society or whatever, and they have robots. They send some of those robots back in time to kill the guy before the bad stuff happens. And then him and people around him end up defeating the robots, which then leads him to become embittered or something, and then wants to prevent. He probably wants to prevent the killer robots from coming in the first place, which then in turn makes him hate the people that built them, which makes him want to suppress them. And yeah, that works. I like that as sort of the moral of the story, where it's you kind of just made your own issues. That does also give us that the ending is that the robots lose.
Which probably is more exciting to watch.
I mean, yeah, probably, right? That seems to be the common thing for these sort of things. I guess one question I have for you is those robots, right? I mean, I mentioned Terminator earlier, but given that they are supposed to be a sort of menacing threat kind of deal, do we actually make them more humanoid, or do we make them very robotic, right? I was thinking they don't even have. I mean, we could. There's obviously a huge scale here, right? But you can have them literally look like humans because they have synthetic skin and blah blah blah. Two on the other end, looking like animals or even completely mechanical, and it's they're all chromed out. There's no organic components, and they might even not be bipedal, as I said, right? They might be robot dogs or I don't know, evil motorbikes.
Oh yeah, we just send Boston Dynamic robots back.
I mean, yes, right?
That's what I'm here for. Yeah.
I do kind of like the idea of a menacing looking, more animalistic robot almost, if we have a swarm of them especially.
I do like that. Let's go with animalistic.
I was wondering if they have something. I mean, obviously if they are the more animalistic and simultaneously robotic, so that they don't look like real animals, they're obviously very easy to spot. But I wonder if they can have some distinctive feature that if you really want to do a crazy reveal sequel kind of thing, you could at the end reveal that one of the humans that was always sort of present for the conflicts but never really main character, all of a sudden his eyes turn red or something, as he's actually also a robot. But you always thought, because the robots look so robotic, that there's no humanoid robots. That would be the sort of post-credit scene in my mind. I don't think that would be a part of the plot of that movie. And also, if we show that the future still happens, and the question is huh? I mean, I guess you wouldn't show the future happening. I guess you would show him doing something that is clearly stepping in the direction of him becoming that guy. And then you could literally have the sequel be hey, this sleeper agent robot is still actually there, and he sees that the dogs, I guess, wolves, whatever, that they failed. But I mean, we're not here to write a sequel. we haven't even done the first one.
I do like the idea. It doesn't really do anything, or it doesn't detract from the main story from the first movie, but it sets out a teaser for a sequel.
It's just one of those things that came to my mind.
That is plausible.
When you have the human form robots, it's always I wonder if other characters might be robot, right? I don't know. I just saw them in my mind, like the reveal where like some guy's eyes start glowing all of a sudden. It's like, oh, actually, is he a robot too? It doesn't really add to what we're doing specifically, but it could again be like a sequel hook for like a probably fairly different movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, our broad plot is that we get these sort of like cool, like animalistic predator type robots. Not predator as in the movie franchise, but predator as in like, animals that are predators.
Yep.
That could also, if you want to go with the like small pack version, could then also allow us to be like, hey, one of them looks like a wolf and one of them looks like a big cat and one of them, if we if we have different versions, that then also makes it less out of left field that one of them happens to look human, even though if they do still look clearly robotic and the human doesn't, that still is very much a differentiation. And if they are all unique looking, that probably makes it easier to like, I mean, I guess it depends on how many you have. If you have like the zombie apocalypse type thing where they're like overrun, which it's unrealistic to defeat probably if it's set in the present day, which I just casually assume it's set in the present day, but there's actually no reason to assume that.
I would assume it's in the present day, but yeah.
If you have like this sort of like overwhelming force, I mean, first of all, they would have to individually be weaker, but then that doesn't really matter if they're differentiatable. But I think if you have like a small squad, then it makes sense if you can tell which one is which, so that when you cut between scenes where like different people in like our protagonist group are being chased by them, you can like still clearly see like, oh yeah, this one is chased by that one, that was chased by that one. And then also if they're defeated, you then notice that, that one is gone, and you can like much more clearly identify which is which.
Yep.
I guess that's a broad.
Does make sense.
That's a broad strokes, right? Like the killer robots come from the future. They want to stop this guy, and I would say the reveal that he's actually the guy they're trying to stop turns out evil probably comes later, not before the finale where we reveal that he goes on that path, because obviously that needs to be set up at that point. But okay, so they get sent back. They want to stop him. And we later find out that the reason why no one that was defending him was actually like seriously injured or killed was actually because they weren't trying to kill them, because they're actually not evil. And then eventually, I guess the humans win, and then the main guy they were trying to kill goes evil. Or rather, starts, I don't know, his evil political party or whatever, that because he's afraid of robots. I don't know. It still seems a little broad strokes for me. I mean, I like a lot of the concepts that we came up with. It just, I feel like we still need an actual plot. Like, I mean, I said we weren't going to write a script, but this feels a little too much of like a skeleton outline for me there. I feel like we need...
I mean, what did you expect us to do in like 20 minutes?
True. I mean, to be fair, I feel like we ended up coming up with a lot of ideas, and also the whole thing of like, this is the premise of Terminator, let's do our own thing, and it's like, yeah, we thought of many different ways to differentiate ourselves, to the point where I feel like no one would call this a Terminator ripoff, even if they can necessarily see some of the parallels.
Yep.
I guess this would always necessarily be a somewhat action-heavy movie.
Yeah.
Which means the question of like trying to come up with some plot points that happen is probably not that exciting, actually.
I mean, if you also kind of... Like, I watched the Terminator movies, at least the first 3. I'm not sure if there are more. Probably are.
I think I watched all but the 3rd, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, plot-wise, there's also not all that much going on.
Yeah, right.
It's mostly just like how to get from one action scene to the next.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, right? It's like a lot of like hiding and fighting, and not really a lot of plot. I guess part of what we could do is like the whole thing where during the movie they come up with like better ways of defeating the robots, right? Like at first they're mostly just running away, then they realize that like that's unsustainable, so they try to fight back. They realize that guns don't hurt them that much, and they either find just better contemporary weapons like obligatory bazooka scene, right? Or they find out like, oh yeah, if we actually like make bullets out of a harder metal, then they have more penetrative force, right? If we like, I mean, they could literally like once they kill one of the robots, like they could melt down the scrap parts into like better ammunition or something, or like melee weapons.
Yeah, I want to see some EMP blast at some point in the movie.
Yes, although you always have to consider, right? I feel like we don't want to do the thing where like they all converge on one spot and then someone blasts EMP and it's just over.
Yeah, no. Like for one or two robots.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Hey, I also like the idea that
like in only one scene.
Yeah, I also like the idea that if they use an EMP, then like their own tech stops working, right? I mean, even if it's just like fairly basic stuff like flashlights and radios, right? Like whatever they were using. I mean, presumably, actually, when I say flashlights and radios, I'm probably talking about mobile phones these days. But either way, it stops working, and then you have that thing where like they blow the EMP, and then like not too long afterwards, like one of the robots comes out of the shadows. It's like, oh shit! Now we're like even less well equipped. Yeah, I just think there's some ideas there.
Yeah.
Oh, you could have, at the risk of dipping into cliches, you could have someone who's like a bit of a computer geek be like the hacker type character, and like they somehow like knock out one of the robots, and he's like, oh yeah, I can rewire him to like fight on our side or something, and then whether he succeeds or not, like he pulls the information from the hard drive where he actually like, because obviously the robot has unnecessary data about the future on him, finds out that actually the guy we're protecting turns out to be a bad guy in the future. And then that could be like the reveal moment. I mean, it could literally be the first robot to take down.
That would be fun, yeah.
Because I was thinking if we make it more animalistic, then one of the robots all of a sudden like cornering someone and starting to explain what their motive is seems a little sick bit.
Right, the pro of them being animalistic is that they don't have to like try to explain stuff.
Yeah, because I was thinking if we
like from a movie perspective. Yeah,
if we start out with the viewer assuming they're actually evil, then they can't go around being like, hey, we're looking for one specific person that will be bad in the future. And like that. And if they could do that, then if they do it like halfway through the movie, someone's going to be like, hey, why didn't they ever tell that to anyone earlier?
Yeah.
And so the fact that they don't talk, but they do, for some reason, have data on them, which is very common. I mean, I guess if we say that by the time that he becomes evil, or at the very least before he stopped, there are already robots around, you could be like, hey, this robot, like, at its core has like been an upgraded version of a robot from back then, and so it has like actual like recordings in its memory banks or some shit, but then it would have to have future memory banks and blah blah blah. There's always going to be some degree of contrivance there, but that might be a good way to have that reveal. Oh, you could also, if we ended with, we could have like the character discovers that the guy they're protecting is going to be evil, and like he learns a lot of like the lore dump stuff. I mean, we don't want to overdo it, of course, but like he learns, for example, the name of the organization, right? That like he leads, and that sort of stuff, and then relays to the others mostly like, oh yeah, turns out in the future you're evil, and then they do the whole thing like, oh, I'll never be evil, and now that I know, I'll make sure, and blah blah blah, right? And then at the end of the movie, he's like, oh, we should maybe make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. And then founds an organization with the exact same name. And the one character who actually knows the organization name, who never thought it, like, the financial is like, oh my god. Right? Like, so, he just does like the oh no face.
I do like that very much.
And then obviously that person becomes an integral member of the resistance or something. I don't know. That's already like sequel stuff probably, but
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I think unless you have something specifically you want to add, I think we've have enough sort of.
Not really, no. I've been out of ideas for like a while now.
Yeah, it felt very bare, and I feel like I've added at least some scenes. You added the EMP scene as well, which, I mean, generic, but I don't hate it.
Hey.
I mean, yeah, you gotta have an EMP and a rocket launcher at some point. It's just...
You just gotta.
I mean, if it is at least in part an action movie, which, I mean, it seems like it's a large part an action movie, then you gotta have the big action set pieces, right? Like, that's just...
Mm-hmm.
I guess, Fact of the Week. What is your Fact of the Week?
Fact of the Week. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this one. You've probably seen the default Windows 10 background image.
I have, but it's been a while. Is it the one with the Windows logo on it? That's like the slightly going to the background effectively in the right. It's like slightly see-through-ish. It's all very blue.
And yes, that one. Did you know that was not CGI? This is all actually shot on camera.
Okay, I mean it's not. Windows 10. I mean, it's that one.
Yes, that one.
I mean, there's shit over it, but I mean, we all know this image. Okay, so it's a photograph.
It might be yeah, it's a photograph.
So, did someone take this photograph and then decide to use it afterwards as a Windows thing, or?
No, it was like it was specifically produced for this. It was like a really, really big production. Like, you can probably imagine how much stuff you need to set up to make this photograph.
I feel like it would have been easier to just like go into some like image software, like make some squares and draw some lines and put in some shading, right? Like, I feel like that's something that like a competent graphic designer could probably put together in an afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, actually, wait a second. Not quite this one. It's like I must send you an image. Looks really similar, so I kinda. Can I send it to you on Discord, or should I send it to you on Telegram?
You can send it to me on Discord. That's probably better, actually.
Okay. This one.
Ever since I figured out that there's nothing preventing me from just opening Discord in the browser whenever I need it. I mean, it's the same image, I think, basically. It's just like slightly different color tones, I think it's...
Yeah, this one is a photograph.
So that's a mirror, then?
No. It's, I think, a piece of acrylic glass with one of those fancy lasers where you can where they are usually used to draw stuff, but here they draw the outline and run it through like a fog.
Yeah, I'm assuming they then edited it a bit further to make the actual image where because I don't think the smoke is particularly visible on the actual version that we just saw earlier.
I know they took like a bunch of photos from like the same spot with like slightly different lighting and everything, and then just composed them together.
Okay.
But I'm not sure on like how much like real editing there was, except for maybe like color correction or something.
I mean, yeah.
Like that.
It still strikes me as an unnecessary amount of effort for...
It probably is, yeah.
I get that a lot of people like it might not seem like that to you and I, but a lot of people do use the default background image. So I can see why you would want to put some effort into making it look nice, because a lot of people just don't bother to change it. I mean, those people also probably aren't the ones that have like the highest requirements, but at the same time, obviously, you want to make their experience worthwhile.
There's even a making of video of this.
Yeah, we're not going to watch it.
It's a short one, but yeah.
That's fascinating. Okay. My fact of the week is about transportation. So, I think we've all heard of aircraft carriers, right? They're big-ass ships on which planes can land and take off and stuff. And, transporting a plane with a ship, I guess that's kind of cool. But what if you could transport...
How many baguettes can it do?
A ship with a train?
It depends on how big the ship is, I guess.
It also depends on how big the train is. Okay, so I say train, but... So, since I showed an image for your fact, let me show an image for my fact. It occurs to me that this isn't very zoomed in. Can I? Wait, that was probably not a good idea.
That's a huge train. What?
So,
like, can you like move it a bit to the right so we can see like the car?
Wait, to...
Or the road? Yes.
I mean, it's obviously some perspective
Presumably,
there because
those are parked cars.
The road is obviously lower. So
and a bit further away, but
from
still.
other images that I've seen of this, it looks almost like those are more or less standard train tracks on both sides. So it's almost like this bit is like the size of a train. But yeah, so if I may actually go back to the actual Wikipedia article. The Roniquière inclined plane is a canal inclined plane on the Brussels-Charleroi Canal in the province of Hainaut in Wallonia. Oh, it's probably Hainaut. There are parts of Belgium that speak German, but given that it's the Roniquière plane, I'm gonna go with it's French. It opened in April of 1968. So yeah, the whole thing is they used to have one of those, like the Panama Canal where you have like those fucking locks where the water level inclines and stuff like that. And it turns out that's kind of slow, right? And so they instead, I'm not sure if it's running in parallel or what, but they added this thing, which is just like a giant bit of a giant water tank basically that has boats on it that they can. So there are two of those running in parallel, and so you can, I guess, drive your boat on there, and then they drive you up the mountain to the other side, and then you drive your boat off again.
This is so stupidly over-engineered. I love it.
So yeah, each caisson can be moved between, which are what the things are called, can be moved between the two canal levels at a speed of 1.2 meters per second, take about 22 minutes. It takes 50 minutes in total to pass through the 1.8 kilometers of the entire structure, including the raised canal bridge at the top end. So the plane itself, the plane, which is the thing that the train in parentheses is driving on, is 1.4 kilometers long. And lifts boats vertically.
That's a bit.
And lifts boats vertically through 67.73 meters, or 222.2 feet. I'm just converting that because it's a fun number. And so yeah, the caisson, so the transporting thing, what I called a train earlier because it's basically a train, is 91 meters long by 12 meters wide. So it's actually not as huge as it seems. but it's still pretty big.
Wait, how big did you say?
It's basically 100 by 10. If I'm rounding very egregiously. 91 by 12.
I mean, that is still huge.
And has a water depth between 3 and 3.7 meters. It can carry one boat.
That thing is huge.
It can carry one boat of 1,350 tons, or many smaller boats within the same limit. So that's the carrying capacity. Each caisson has a 5,200 ton counterweight running in the trough below the rails, which permits those to be moved independently of one another. They're pulled by cables, so they're not self-propelled, I guess. But yeah, no, this thing is wild. It's a train.
It is.
Basically, that is built to transport boats. And mind you, filled with water. So that it's not like it's not like it's transporting. You know, I'm sure there are actual like regular trains, freight trains that transport smaller boats on occasion, just for like transport purposes. This is a boat that like drives on there, drives off there, right? It's just en route. Which actually,
what I am wondering right now is how's the connection mechanism for like the water working?
That it doesn't specify here exactly. The plane was built to reduce the delays imposed by the 14 locks, already reduced from 16 in the 19th century, that had hitherto been needed for the canal to follow the local topography. Yeah, no, it doesn't specify on Wikipedia. I mean, I guess I can look at French Wikipedia as a better...
it doesn't matter for right now, but like... That is some serious piece of equipment there.
Of course the German article is longer than the French or English one, despite the fact that it's in a French-speaking part of the world, and English is just generally the most detailed Wikipedia, usually.
Yes. Of course.
Oh, God. I think it's actually not that much more detailed on the technological side, though. It just also has a tourism section for some reason. Which, I mean, presumably because it's tourism. And I think the history section is actually longer. But the technical aspect isn't actually any longer than the German Wikipedia article either. It does have GPS coordinates, though.
Oh.
So I'm not entirely sure if the boats actually do drive on and off on their own power, or if they're maybe lifted, but that would almost not make any sense to lift them, I think. Because then it might as well, not use all of that. I don't know. But yeah, no, I thought it was pretty cool. And I wanted to talk to you about it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that really is pretty cool.
And that, I think, brings us to our halftime show. We're doing something else today. And I've been told that before we start, I just quickly have to enter a password. Shouldn't be too hard, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
5-second thing.
Okay, at least 5 characters. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. It must include uppercase letter. Okay, sure. A special character. Yeah. The digits of password must add up to 25, okay? See, now we're getting a little bit more...
That's a bit unusual.
Yeah, sure. But, what do we have? 9, 12, 14, 15... right? Password must include a month of the year. Now, some might say that two letters...
Maybe we already have an A there. You can go for April or something.
Fair enough. But we have to spell out. I have used a lot of Excel recently, okay? Your password must include a Roman numeral. Okay, yeah, sure. I capitalized the I! Your password must include one of our sponsors, okay? Shell? Roman numerals in your password should multiply to 35. Well, I mean, that's a 1, so that's going to be fairly neutral in the multiplication. We have XXXV. Must include this captcha, okay. Oh no, this capture includes numbers. This is going to be fun. Oh, by the way, in case people haven't got on, this is the password game. And the complexity is not that we just add shit to our password, right? Like, the fun part starts now. If I go 58B5M, you'll see that I did solve the CAPTCHA, but now our digits do no longer add up to 25. Which is a bit of a problem, right? So we have to reduce our total digits. If we keep the 585 here by 18. Right, so I can get rid of this 10 that I added, and then I can get rid of, that is the right?
Or like this, yeah.
Professor must include today's Wordle answer. Wordle. I have a couple prepared. Okay, I have played this. I've never finished it, but I have. Well, Wordle, yes. Password game. So I knew that Wordle was coming up. We know how Wordle works. The question is, what's a good starting word for regular Wordle? We play Squirtle a lot, but Wordle.
Oh God.
Okay, this is actually
wasn't
not
Rage
as
one of
good
the
zoom-wise as I thought
ones?
It was.
Yeah.
What was it you said? Crates?
I think Raid was one of the good ones.
Well, that gave us actually fairly little information, but it gave us 2 letters, which I guess in Wordle is even better than Squirtle. So by default, you don't have to use the letters that you already got. So we can try something that has no R or E in narrative, at least on that spot. Comes to mind that we haven't tried O or U yet. What are common consonants? Well, we said L and S would be common.
I want to... Yeah.
I mean, soul obviously comes up with the 4 letters that I just said, but... I mean, I think... What was it? So, we had R already. I'm just trying to think, like, Earl said, obviously, or laser, I guess is what we use, right? Like, that those letters, right? So that's why I said L and S. The next one was tonic, so that would give us the N and I actually over the U. So that actually gives us... Well, it gives us...
I would want to go... Like,
tails.
I wanted to go for point, but I don't necessarily want to...
Not tails.
Try T again.
Yeah, right. So N, L, S, O, and U I said, or O and I guess. So... What did I say, Sonic? I think I said Sonic. I mean, not quite, but almost. The C is obviously a terrible guess, but...
Yeah.
Okay, so the letter that I earlier said that we wanted to use was L, not C, so it will be sonil, which is not a word. Lions.
That is a word, yes, let's go
That
for
is literally all of the letters that I said I wanted to have in one word.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help us that much.
True.
There's almost guaranteed a U in there, right? I mean, I guess no. No. It could just be consonant. Well, consonant R, I, consonant E.
Yeah, it could be grime.
Grime.
Yep.
I mean, might as well try it at this
Maybe.
point.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that some of those are redundant, but... Well, no. It could be pride.
Could be.
Well, at this point, we should be able to get it. Bride? It can't be cried, it can't be tried. It's gotta be bride, right?
Yeah.
Got it. So now we can go back to the password game, which is what we're actually playing, and put in Right. Mind you, capitalization does not matter. This might come up later. Your password must include a 2-letter symbol from the periodic table. Any preferences, Sergej?
I mean, BR.
Bromium.
Kinda. I mean, we kind of already have bright there, so we can just...
Sorry. Obviously, we capitalized the B. A password must include the current phase of the moon as an emoji. Now, Sergej, I have not looked up moon phases ahead of time, so would you be so kind as to look up what the phase of the moon is, while I go to the Wikipedia article for emoji, and just copy paste whichever one we end up needing.
Okay, what is the moon phase for today?
You can literally
waning gibbous. Yes.
A waning... can you just tell me what that thing looks like?
It's basically the full moon, I think.
Well, it's probably not. It's probably one of these, right? It's either
probably
this one or that one. But
I can just try both.
I always forget which one's waxing and which one's waning. I'm sorry. So yeah, we have an emoji in our password, which is the correct one. Hey, name this country. Well, it looks like it might be a Muslim country, I would say. Just given this like big onion thing.
Yeah, probably. At least we didn't start out like in the middle of the woods.
Also, the people here do appear to be black, making me think we might be somewhere in Africa. This one says Beirut restaurant. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to mean anything, but Beirut is a capital city of somewhere. I think I should know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
They have Samsung over there.
Yeah.
Normally, I might not do this while playing GeoGuessr, but...
Oh, wait. They have telephone numbers there. Country codes.
Oh, yeah. We're...
If we know them.
Well, I was just
gonna... signs.
I was just going to ask you to Google... Google where Beirut is, but...
Towers. Yeah.
What is it? Plus 254? Well, what is plus 254? Again, I'm going to have you do all the Googling because I don't want to...
Mm-hmm.
We've exhausted my available tabs. You just look up like telephone codes on Wikipedia or something. As a matter of fact, I do have Wikipedia open.
Okay. No, that's the wrong thing. I want the area code. One country code.
Yes, plus 254.
Please. Yes. Kenya.
That's not where Beirut is. Your password must include a leap year. This is another fun one because, as you might have noticed, that contains a number then. Well, I mean...
Isn't 2024 a leap year?
It sure would appear to be. Now, we're going to have to get rid of 8 points there, and we only have 7 that we can get rid of there, so that we can't actually use 2024, because we need the 585 over
2020?
We could use 2020, yes, and then we're going to have to get rid of 4 points, which means we're going to do something like this.
Hey, chess.
Your password must include the best move in algebraic chess notation. I'm assuming we're a black move, so we're black.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now what do we do here? I think we just rook c1 check.
That would be rook c1 check. Okay, now I did add a 1, so we're gonna get rid of this one. That was a very easy fix. It's okay, this is Magic Paul. He hasn't hatched yet. Please put him in your password and keep him safe. I will do that. Let's put him over there. I don't know. The elements in your password must have an atomic number that add up to 200. So we have...
Oh, God.
We have sulfur, vanadium, bromium, iridium, and K. I could actually pull up the atomic... I could pull up the periodic table myself if I wanted to. But I think we might need emoji later. I don't know. Periodic table.
I got it pulled up here.
Fair enough.
Okay, so which one do we have?
We have I, which I believe is iridium. S, which is sulfur. V, which is vanadium, I think, or is it VN?
Oh god, wait. Let me open up Notepad. Okay.
I can also just stop capitalizing certain things.
Iodine.
Iodine
is 53. You have S, which is sulfur, which is 16. We have V. What is a V?
I was thinking vanadium, but
vanadium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
23.
Okay, we're still good. We're still 92, I think.
Br, which is bromine, is 35. Then we have K, which is potassium, right?
Yeah,
which is 19.
We're still under 200, that much is certain. How much are we missing? You did the math, right? I was doing most of the math until
Okay, wait, calculator.
I was under the impression that you were already putting them in, that's why I stopped counting them.
No, I just opened up Notepad.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
To write them down.
That is what I did last time as well.
16, 23, 35.
Should be somewhere in the 120 or something, somewhere around there, I think.
146.
Okay, so how about we just look up what is 146?
56.
What 54 is?
Wait, right, 54, not 56. 54 is Xeon, which is Xe.
Oh, come on.
Oh.
Okay, give me the one before that. What is the one before that?
Iodine, which is just I.
Okay, got it. Okay, the vowels in our password must be bolded, which is funny because obviously that's not how passwords work. Right, so far we've only used Unicode characters, which could technically be the password. Bolding, not a password.
Okay, okay.
Y is considered a vowel for the purpose of this. And our password's on fire. Shit. There we go. Okay. I did get rid of the fire. I can definitely do can you, right? We might have to wait. Oh yeah. The atomic numerals, right? So we did just say it was IH, I think. Yeah, yes. Okay, cool. Also I did accidentally bold that H, but that I think is fine. Algebraic chess notation, we said rook takes c1 check.
No takes.
Right, sorry.
Just
rook
c1.
to c1 check. Your password must include a leap year, we said 2020. Your password was not strong enough, right? So that is I don't know exactly what that means, but I think this guy lifting here, we could just like just add some more, you know?
You know what? After each thing, maybe just like Control A, Control C.
To the best of my knowledge, it doesn't catch on fire again.
Okay.
Although, that being said, right, like, here they're doing a fun thing, you see, because I is a Roman numeral, which doesn't matter, but it's also an atomic symbol, so, you go I, fucking hell, you know what, I should have just bolded the whole thing. Yeah, because I should have just bolded the whole thing. So yeah, that's one of the affirmations that they wanted, and then the elements don't add up anymore, but just remove this extra I that we didn't need anyways. Hey, Paul's hatch, don't forget to feed him. He eats 3 of these buggers here every minute. Add some of those, just... right, and this is where I stopped last time I did this. Your password must include the URL of a 23-minute and 10-second long YouTube video.
God, why? Also,
every 20 seconds we're gonna lose one of these fellas, you know?
Oh no.
I mean, to be fair, as far as I can tell, there's no reason not to just go ham with those.
Yeah. Okay, 23 minutes, 10 seconds.
Yes.
What do
Paul
we
was
have there?
overfed?
No!
I didn't even know that was possible.
You killed Paul.
You bastard! I think this is a lose condition, I guess.
I think it is.
Because obviously I did not heed your advice, I did not copy paste it. I'm assuming if I reload the page, yeah, I think this is enough of that for today.
Probably is.
We might try this again at some point. Not overfitting Paul, maybe. Also, the fun thing is, if we do this again, we're gonna have to just do a different Wordle and a different GeoGuessr, so there is actually going to be new content in that.
And a different chess puzzle.
And a different chess puzzle, yeah. So, brings us to a second topic, actually, also from Neil.fun. We have Earth reviews. Sergej thought this could start some discussions, and I think it can. We have Earth reviews, right? You review anything and everything on Earth. We're not gonna... So, anything in particular you want to look at reviews for? We have a lot of options here. Oh yeah, obviously, I still think this one is deeply underrated.
It really is. Spreadsheets are like massively useful.
This is the only thing, by the way, that I've rated so far on this page. 5 stars for spreadsheets. It tells you everything you need to know about me as a human.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is literally nothing. I feel in prison whenever I use them. Always in a cell. Even the escapes don't. Even the escape doesn't help. Very useful for planning invasions. I can organize all my units. Yeah, see, that's...
Yeah,
I think
true.
I think they're pretty good.
It's generally useful.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. Nice way to keep things organized, especially if you're working on a team project. But really complicated to use. That's just like your opinion.
How so?
I will say some of the more advanced things are not as trivial. But we literally once did a unit in school about Excel in our computer science class, right? And I thought that was stupid because like all of the things that it taught us is like basically like some of the very basic formulas, right? Like average and sum, and it's like if you've never used Excel before, sure, right? Like knowing how the formulas work in the first place, especially formatting wise, does make some degree of sense. But like, how much do you really learn about that, right? Like it's they never even showed us any of the cool stuff. Like we never did ranking.
That being
like that's
ranking.
Not even that. It's not even that crazy. But like, if you have a data set and you have a bunch of numbers and you want to know which one's the highest, I mean, obviously you don't want to know which number is the highest. You can see that by yourself, but you can do the thing where it's like rank of this column and then give me the name of a couple of columns over, and then you can actually see. But first of all, you rank them. Right?
I see. Yeah.
So that just gives you the number, and then you can do on a different sheet, for example, you can then reference the rank and search for like who's in first, and then give me, the name of the person first. And then you can actually like build dynamic leaderboards, for example, with that. Now, I have to be a little careful because if two people have the same score, they're going to get the same rank. And if you don't have a tiebreaker for your ranks, then that will break your spreadsheet. There is a very clever trick how you can build in a tiebreaker, which I learned on the internet because someone taught me that in school, where you can write a formula that, it's count if, right? So it counts how often in a certain span a cell has had a certain value. And so you just, next to your rank column, you just make a second column that is just the rank plus as often as the rank has previously appeared. And because you can do the dollar signs, that like the top end of the range doesn't get moved when you drag it down, but the top end does get moved so that the span expands. And so the first one will not get an increased, second one will get a +1. And so that way you can...
So basically the later ones get an advantage.
Well, yes. But you got to tie break somehow, right? And so then when you do your actual leaderboard, you can, instead of actually hard-coding the ranks on the side, you can also have it search by the type broken rank and give you the column of the actual rank, so that even then when you have multiple people with the same total, they will be shown as being at the same rank, even though... So it's more of a technical thing. You can also hide columns so you wouldn't even see it. Although if you need to ever add a row, then obviously you need to show the column again before you can drag onto it. So
that is pretty cool. Spreadsheets are awesome.
I know, right? Like,
I use them for pretty much everything.
Yes! Well, unless it's a bit more complicated, you need an actual database, but like, how often do you actually need a database?
Really. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I would like to have some things done programmatically, but I'm usually too lazy to do that. Mostly, I'm too lazy to do the GUI part for it. So I've just used Excel or like LibreOffice, but same shit.
LibreOffice Calc.
Difference.
Yes. Josh is my kind of person. Spend 90% of my time with these bad boys. I wouldn't have it any other way.
That is true.
Thumbs up for Josh. Be more like Josh. I think once I scroll down, it shows us other items to review. This is a slightly smaller list. We can maybe go off of that, select our next option. Okay, as much as it would be fun to skyscrapers, how about to do queues? How about skyscrapers? Because I feel like there are genuine pros.
How about it? Yeah.
I mean, I guess Call of Duty builds at all, but they're scary. I feel like if it's the next one, it's gonna follow me or something. And don't even get me started on being on top of one. I'm pretty sure I have a phobia of big cities. Okay, fair enough. If you've been to New York, you know there are tons that are way too reflective, and you see clouds and think it's the sky. Oh, dude, reflective skyscrapers.
The birds, yes.
Oh, actually, yes. No, I was gonna say, remember the one I think in London where they like built like this curved skyscraper?
It set people on fire. Yeah.
Well, as far as I know, it hasn't set any person on fire, but it definitely has melted car tires and shit like that. So yeah, they ended up. It has a fairly mirrored surface, and it's rounded, and so obviously it has a focusing effect, and so. Architects, I swear. I mean, to be fair, that's one of those examples of why architecture is not always as straightforward as you might think. It's kind of like those bridges that ended up being very unstable because the resonant frequencies happen to line up with the frequencies of like people moving over them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I bet the guy was just like, how can I build like the laser that sets stuff on fire without getting fired? Surely.
They look amazing from the ground, but can you remove the glitch where my anxiety meter goes up really fast when I'm at the top? Okay, listen.
True, yes.
I don't have any problems with being high up. But as soon as I look down...
yeah.
I don't think I've ever been on top of like an actual like skyscraper buildings, but I've been on top of some like viewing towers and shit like that. Those are still, multiple stories tall kind of dealios. Scary shit. I would not want to be like on the actual top of an actual skyscraper. That, especially like on the roof, right? Like if you're like on like a higher level and there's a window in between, and those windows are built to be sturdy. It's like it's probably still not as comfortable, but like at least there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like a railing. Like, I know that they're realistically, it's still fairly safe, unless I, like, lean over the railing or some stupid shit like that, but, like, I don't know.
Yep. Man, my anxiety meter just goes up right now just thinking about this.
Yeah, let's move on to...
This bug really needs to be fixed.
Let's move on to the next thing. Do we want to rate skyscrapers really quickly, or do we just only rank the ones?
Let's... Like, I don't know. I'd give it a 3.
I don't have a strong opinion on skyscrapers, I guess. So I guess that's perfectly fine. Oh god, there's a lot of options here.
Mm-hmm.
I both love that sliced bread is an option and simultaneously it's not the highest rated one. Because that means there are things that are actually the best things that, well, I guess sometimes predate sliced bread, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Okay, what do we want to do? Like, there are a couple interesting things like airplanes, sliced bread, traffic lights.
You know what? Traffic light sounds spicy.
Hey, why are spiders so low?
I mean,
Bottom right corner.
absolutely not. Disgusting. But
Yeah, like
they get rid of other bugs, so yeah.
Yeah, that's like the best thing, though.
I like the spiders eat bugs, I guess, yes, but I also don't like spiders. I'm arachnophobic. I generally don't like bugs. So yeah, it's...
I mean, I don't like bugs either, but like weirdly, spiders are fine.
Sergej, we have a bit of a problem. I mean, I guess
Yes.
insect type is a Pokemon reference, maybe, in which case, okay, fine. But like, they're not insects! Insects have 6 legs!
Yes.
Which is not technically the reason that they're not insects, not the number of legs, but rather because it's a genealogical thing. But also, all insects, to the best of my knowledge, have 6 legs. That's the whole... It's a big part of what they are. There's like a 3-segmented body, each segment has 2 legs. They have an outer chitin shell. And there's a lot of things that make insects. But also, like, genealogically, just they're a line. And while insects and arachnids are both arthropods, they're not all insects. Yeah, everyone's talking about their arachnophobia debuff, so yeah.
And this place has such an r/outside vibe. I love it.
I was thinking about Tirzu when I first started reading how they were describing the video game. Yeah.
Like if you like, for anyone that's listening, like if you haven't checked out r/outside, highly recommend it.
Or the YouTube channel Tirzu.
Just like a couple posts. Or yeah.
Same idea. Similar concept. I feel like similar concepts keep showing up.
Spawn point of these things are so odd. They keep showing up in my base.
Yeah. Unacceptable. I see spiders everywhere I go, especially in my bed. I mean, I know this is not the video game one, but yeah. I also love the entirety of this review where it's like their hitbox makes it so hard, them harder to beat, and that makes it fun. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Also, I guess since this is all text, I could probably just for those that are watching on smaller screens. I also get about people with smaller screens. You know, it's yeah. The spawn point of these creatures seems to be just thrown about willy-nilly, and some have gotten to my house. I named one Gary, and now we're best buds. I mean,
that is awesome.
Spawn point is displaced. The application occasion when it appears is fully thought of. Like, everyone's talking about it.
What would you give it to? What would your rating be?
I think I would have to look past my arachnophobia and give them 4 to 5. Not as good as spreadsheets, but...
That is the same rating I would have given them. Love it. Okay.
Glasses.
Let's go for glasses.
Good accessory for other characters, but my character has 20/20 vision, so no use for them yet. Well! Great for having my character's sight, but they require new pairs each year. Yeah. It depends. And they get dirty so quickly? Yes. Also, knowing amount of time is spent adjusting, packing, and fiddling with them to get them to work? Yeah. Please make them simpler, easier to use, and more lasting. Yeah, no, you're just wrong.
How often do you need to change glasses?
So the new glasses, you either need new glasses when the old ones are shit, or when your eyesight gets worse, right? So that is why it depends on the people. Now, my glasses specifically were made with harder glass, so that they don't scratch as easily. So mine actually fairly good. I think there's like one scratch in them. But usually if you like have like one scratch in them somewhere, like your eyes usually just start around it to get used to it. It's not really a problem.
Oh yeah.
So I think I got these because the last time I did an eye test, well actually the eye test I did then I guess was worse than the previous ones. So I had to get new ones. But I think I've rarely ever broken glasses. I think I might have when I was younger. Not to the degree that a lot of kids do, but I think I might have like had one or two that were like scratched to a point where like I just need to get new ones. But I don't know, this is probably my 5th pair of glasses in my entire life or something, and I've been wearing them since elementary school, right? So
okay.
So I don't know, the last 19 years ish, maybe 18, I don't know exactly, but I've had maybe like 5 or 6 pairs of glasses, plus sunglasses on top of that. So I do I have an insurance that pays for most of a new pair of glasses every 2 years. And I do remember that on occasion we would just like use it to get sunglasses. Because I also have sunglasses. Yes, people have sunglasses, but like I have ones that actually like also are corrective, so those are a lot more expensive. They're basically as expensive as regular glasses, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe more so.
Still pretty cool though.
Although these ones are probably more expensive than most people's glasses because they have like all sorts of bullshit. They are harder. They're supposed to be anti-reflexive, which I think doesn't work as well. But I mean, I've never had a problem with it. So it's supposed to be primarily about driving, right? So if someone has like strong headlights behind you, you don't want to be blinded by your glasses. So anti-reflexive for the inside. And they have a blue light filter. I don't know how useful that actually is, but they were like, hey, if you're on computer screens a lot, maybe you want to try this. And at first it was weird because my entire stuff was like slightly yellowish, but you get so used to it.
Yes.
I don't know.
I do prefer having a blue filter on my PC, even if it's just a digital one.
I mean, that one I have on permanently
like,
as well, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I also have one of my glasses. I
think it might help.
I don't think it actually helps that much. I haven't really noticed a difference. Most of the time when I get eye strain is when I don't blink enough, which is usually while I'm playing video games. That like, if I'm playing something like Minecraft or Borderlands or something where it's like you continuously focusing. If I'm playing Hearthstone, it doesn't really matter if you blink, right? Because your opponent takes like 60 seconds to make the goddamn turn. So, but so
I mean, it isn't really for eye strain, but more for your circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
Where
So from what I hear, eye strain actually is specifically caused also by the not blinking and by being too focused on one particular distance for a long period of time. Those are apparently the main causes.
Yep.
I don't know about the circadian rhythm thing because like I don't know. I don't think I've had a lot of trouble falling asleep before, right? So that's I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I do. Okay, so what rating would you give it?
Oh yeah, by the way, the second random person also said they get dirty fast and you need a new one every 1 or 2 years because my vision is always getting worse. So they also like acknowledge it mostly because of the vision.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess I can agree with the assessment of random person you don't care about. I know they're really useful, but if we could make it so they don't get dirty as fast, which you could actually probably make by like giving them some sort of like anti-repellent, yeah, great. By like some anti-stick coating where they like stuff goes off them more easily. I know there's water repellent, which probably wouldn't be useful or wouldn't be that useful. Fuck me.
What's it?
Yeah, thanks. But also, like, you know, like dust is... I think dust is the worst thing, but also like smudging when you inevitably get your hands on them, right? Or also, I mean, sneezing doesn't help, by the way. Like, if I sneeze a lot, the glasses do, like, get dirty quicker because it's just like droplets will go on there.
Yeah.
Let's do like, I don't know, 2 or 3 more and then call it a day. You pick.
Sure. Let's go for bicycles. They seem to be kind of underrated at only 4.1 stars out of 5.
To be fair, I rated glasses a 4, so I feel like 4.1 doesn't seem that bad. Human-powered transportation. Machine of death having to press every button at once to pedal and say bounces too hard. Also fix the damage output for crashing. That's not that's not the machine's fault, right? I mean, first of all, you shouldn't be crashing in the first place.
Yeah.
And second of all, it's just like fall damage. And also, if you're going fast, you're gonna get some of that as well, but it's all based on momentum. Half the health should not take off by falling off right after getting on. My character's happiness increases +10 every time she goes biking with her friends, but after about 5 minutes she gets tired and struggles to keep going forward. Please fix this. Yeah. The internet said,
you might be on the wrong setting, or you're using a city bike on like hills. I would not recommend that.
So, the thing about bicycles, right, is... I mean, first of all, they come in 2 varieties, right? They come in powered and unpowered. That's an important distinction to make. But if we use unpowered, then yes, right, like inclines can be a problem. But also, you can train to get better at that.
Yes. The internet said I gain access to these when I reach level 5 and interact with the parental NPC. But I'm level 14 and no matter how many times I talk to the parental NPC, I still never get a bike reward. Can we patch this?
I probably got my first bike around 5 as well, I would say, probably, because I'm pretty sure it was before elementary school. Or maybe around early elementary school.
Not even sure when I got one. I think it was like around when I was like 6 or 7.
Because I know in elementary school we did some like bicycle training stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
And I definitely already had one.
We did as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for children, it's kind of stupid in a way, almost, because like every couple of years they need a new one because they get bigger. It's like, what the fuck?
Not really, though. You can ride for a long, long time on a bicycle as a kid. On the same one.
I mean, I think there are like 3 or 4 different like sizes though, and I'm pretty sure I had like a small one and like a medium one and then like an adult one. Don't ask what the actual like rim sizes are. Like I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I guess there is like one for like really small ones. That is a thing, yeah. That is fair. I kind of forgot those existed. Then there's like, yeah, I guess the medium one where you can, I don't know, from like 7, like 5 years to like, I don't know, 13, 14.
I mean, yeah, I guess the most important thing is really just the distance from the saddle to the pedal, right? Is like the big thing. Although obviously the saddles you can adjust.
That one's usually adjustable.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, but like if you're like a small child, you're like literally half the height of an adult. I don't think a little bit of saddle adjustment is going to fix that.
You can adjust saddles like a lot on bikes.
Plus, also you need to also reach.
Obviously, it depends on the bike, but yeah.
You also need to reach the. I was gonna say steering wheel, but what is it called? The front bar.
Handles.
Handles. Hey, those ones.
I think. Yeah.
You need to reach those as well, right? And also there's the other side where your feet shouldn't touch. You shouldn't be able to like just touch your feet on the ground on both sides. At least not comfortably. Then you're sitting like too low.
Why not?
But yeah, no, okay, bicycle riding is one of those things that I haven't done in years, right? So.
I mean, no surprise you're living in Germany.
I always find funny whenever like Americans are talking about like how Germany's so walkable. I'm like, have you seen the Netherlands?
True. Like, I use my bicycle all the time now. It is amazing.
Oh yeah, I guess Sweden is better as well. You said.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It doesn't really make sense for that. I mean, also just like the place I live is kind of shitty for it, right? Because I live on a hill.
Mm-hmm. That is also true. Well, more like in between two hills, but doesn't make it all that much better.
Well, I mean, I actually live a little bit on a hill, right? And then the main streets are like in the valleys, basically.
Yeah.
And there's like multiple hills all around. I mean, there's a bit of a groove, obviously. Like the landscape still goes up on the side of the road. Well, not on the side of the road immediately, but yeah. And it's like everything is like that isn't like directly on Main Street or like the town center is also like on some sort of hill, right? So when I rode my bike to and from school, well, mostly from, on some occasions, I had to like, there's a hill, the school's on a hill, and my home is on a hill, right? It's like, you have to go up a hill, like, both ways. You have to go uphill both ways,
Yes.
Sergej!
Oh no.
Yeah, but we did actually, in high school, we actually did have a bicycle thing segment in our PE class. Which was interesting. I was already then, I wasn't really doing that a lot anymore, so I was not in a good shape for it. But you know.
I don't think we had that.
And then, you always have the question of like, how do you get your bicycle to school? Right? Because you either ride there on your bicycle. I mean, taking it on the bus doesn't really seem like an option, although some buses do have bicycle racks, but I don't think any around here.
Rarely. Like, some will let you get your bicycle on the bus, but like if the whole like class does it
obviously
at roughly the same time, then like I don't think they will be.
There are some countries where
all too happy about that.
They have bicycle racks, I think, on the back of the bus. I don't recall exactly. Like on the outside where you can just like put them in.
Yeah.
It's a real cool thing.
That is a cool thing.
But yeah,
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen one in person either. But yeah, no, so what we would usually do is like, because it was the last class, I would usually just take the bus there. My dad brings me my bike when it's time, and then I would ride home on the bicycle. But yeah, that's still like, that was still quite a distance, and especially because it's always the last stretch, right? That is uphill. Like,
yeah,
because all of the main streets again are lower than all of the like points of interest, which would be the school or my home. So even if no matter which way I go, like the uphill part is always the last one. I mean, to school uphill will probably be even worse. I think I've only done that like once, because like that has an actual like strong incline. I mean, depending on which way you go, there's either a strong incline or an even longer road with like still an incline, right? You still have to get to the same height at the end of the day.
I mean, at that point, you just get off the bicycle and just like cart it along.
Yeah, but that also isn't fun, right? Like, I don't know.
It isn't, but it's like more practical.
So yeah, bicycles. 4 stars, 5 stars. How are we feeling?
5 stars, definitely. Like if you're living in a country where you can actually use them decently, that's like the best thing.
I mean, especially for like inner city stuff where it's like short distances. If you don't have anything you have to take with you or not much, right? Like I can see why that would be very useful. I'm gonna let you pick our final topic thing.
Ooh. There's a couple interesting ones. I mean, dogs obviously like really loved. I do like to see that, but I don't think it would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah, dogs and grandmothers are just like some of the highest rated things I've seen on here so far.
Yeah. Frogs are weirdly highly rated.
Yeah, the internet has an obsession with frogs.
I didn't know. Socks might be interesting. Laptops could be interesting to talk about as well. Printers, appropriately low rated.
I was gonna say they're overrated still. Like, fucking
they
hell. They
are still overrated, but yes.
I mean, I would go so far as to say,
And
similar to how
books.
use of bicycles are underrated, I would say that books are underrated. Like, yeah, sure, they have like 4 point some stars, but they're still
I was about to say that as well. Yeah. Books should be like a full 5 stars.
So we're going towards books and seeing why people don't like books, huh? 5 stars. I love it's all 5-star reviews.
Yep.
We want the bad ones. Okay, you'll have to qualify as bad for today. Books are very helpful. This update is very helpful. My character's intelligence goes up by plus 50 every time my character reads, but it really takes forever just to finish a book. But it is the most efficient way I've tried so far to learn about intelligence. I disagree on pretty much everything. Okay, no, books are very helpful. You do get smarter from reading them. I would think it's probably not the most efficient way of actually getting information, although it depends a little bit on what kind of information as well.
Yes.
I usually find that YouTube videos are really good at conveying information. Like, if you actually get informative content, oftentimes they are obviously shorter than books. They're often highly informative. Some of them do manage to have like very dense information, and some of them manage to be funny as well. Which, I mean, I guess books can be as well, but you know, I'm more of a fiction guy, right? So that's for me, like, books on information. I don't really do that much. I don't think it takes forever, and I've read like books with hundreds of pages. Which, I mean, that sounds like I'm trying to brag about like a very normal thing. I mean, the book I'm currently reading, I think, has like 1,200 pages, but I haven't finished it yet, so I can't really say that I'm like, oh yeah, it's went by no time. But I mean, even like the 800 pages that we were talking about on like a previous podcast, like they did, like, sure, I'm not gonna say like I read them in like a weekend, but in like 2 or 3 weekends I've read those, right? So I wouldn't call it taking forever, but I guess it's also a matter of perspective.
It just can feel like it's dragging on, but it's still enjoyable.
I found a 3-star review.
Like you. Oh yes.
But the only complaint is that pages rip too easily, which I've never really had much of a problem with. But it also depends on the stock that, like the paper stock that it is with now, because I have seen like how to Bibles. Like almost universally, I have like this like really thin paper.
Yeah.
I mean, what's up with that? I mean, I guess it's just because it has so many pages, I guess. That like if you put proper pages in, it would be like this thick. But I don't think I've ever seen a Bible with like proper paper.
I mean, I haven't really seen many Bibles. But yeah, I guess.
I mean, yeah, but I think I mostly noticed that in school when we had like religion class, you know, because that is like sort of mandatory. I mean, you can technically get a waiver, but it's sort of mandatory.
I didn't have religion class.
While it is called religion, it's also like basically entirely about Christianity, or almost entirely about Christianity, which feels like the class is wrongly named, but I can see why, you know, a bunch of Germans, where the predominant language is German, would think that religion is just Christianity.
I mean, we had like religion class separate for like different religions.
Oh yeah, our religion class came in 2 flavors, right? Catholic and Protestant. Like, they actually separated them too, and they separated them, like the students, like based on their actual religious affiliation, right? So it's like hey, something tells me this is not just an education class about religion. Right? Like, why does my religious orientation matter? That's not how... Anyways, what does my religious affiliation matter for your religion class? Right? Like, huh?
Yep. I just, like...
Sorry, go ahead.
Got a waiver, didn't go there.
The funniest part is, because we didn't have that many Catholics, for the last 2 years, I think, our religion class, we actually had, I think we had, like, I think we had 3 religion classes, 2 Protestant and 1 Catholic. It might have been actually 4. Then it was 3 Protestant, but it was 1 Catholic, and one of the Protestant ones had a very small class size, and happened to be taught by the same teacher in the same room at the same time. So, according to the schedule, those were 2 separate classes. But for all intents and purposes, it was 1 class. So I did actually do some time in the Catholic religion class as well. The teacher was Catholic, so this was arguably the Catholic class. That they just happened to shove some Protestant kids. Well, I mean, I put it in quotation marks because I, myself at that point, would have considered myself an atheist. But they just shoved some Protestant kids in there as well because of, like, not having that many Catholics. And I guess having too many Protestants to fit in however many other classes they had remaining. So that was a thing. So I did technically do both versions of religion at different times.
Was there, like, any significant difference?
I mean, since I never did them in the same year, and there are already differences from teacher to teacher, I couldn't necessarily tell you specifically if there were any huge differences.
Okay.
I mean, the main difference about Catholicism, to my knowledge, is just like the whole saint thing, and I don't think it was ever mentioned.
Okay.
I mean, there are some other things like confessionals and whatnot, but like none of the things that I would think of that are like uniquely Catholic specifically came up in that class.
Okay, yep, sure.
But I think it is the first time I heard Pascal's wager. But not as like, we weren't talking about it as a religious argument, but that was like a genuine argument for Christianity that teacher made. Like the whole, hey, if it's wrong, what have I lost? And if it's right and I don't believe in God, then I'm going to hell. It's like, oh. And like, even at the time, like, this felt like a very cynical reason for me to believe in something. Right? But like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, there are obviously actual logical debunkments of Pascal's wager, mostly because like, there's more than one religion. But, but it's like, even at the time when I had neither heard the argument nor the counter arguments, I was like, that doesn't sound like a good argument. Well, anyways, that brings us to the songs of the week. So, okay, what is your song of the week?
My song of the week is Goodbye by Aether Realm.
I mean, I think it's one of those where I probably would need to hear the full song and maybe a couple of times to like truly find an opinion on it.
Probably. I mean, that's already a better rating than like 90% of the songs I present here get from you.
I mean, the thing is, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel anything negative about this, but I also don't really feel anything about this, right? Like, it doesn't really catch me either. So to me, this is like a fairly neutral feeling, and like, but I feel like if I listen to the song a couple times, maybe I would find something in it. This is one of those songs where it could be. Also, just the fact that I only like this only snippet, of course. We try to be representative, but doesn't necessarily guarantee anything.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about this one?
Not really, no. What's your song of the week?
Well, my song of the week is The Dragonborn Comes by Maluka. That did not work. I pressed the wrong button, that's why. So yeah, this is a cover of a song from Skyrim.
Yep, it's a nice cover.
Yeah, I think this particular song was pretty big on the internet when it first came out, which turns out, according to YouTube, that was, I didn't look at the exact time, but YouTube listed it when I looked it up earlier today as 11 years ago.
Oh,
I know, right? So it turns out that she did a remaster 8 years later. And obviously that one is now, well, YouTube says 4 years old, so something about that doesn't quite add up. But and it's I looked it up, right, because I still had the file when I first ripped it from YouTube. It was from 2017, which is to say from more than 4 years ago. So, I knew that it was the original that I had downloaded back in the day, but I actually downloaded it before the remaster existed. Which, 2017 is also so long ago by now. That's 6 years ago.
Yes.
Crazy. I kind of wanted to show this song because, I like it, and this was a blast from the past, but also now I realize how much of the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was that. If you enjoyed this episode, why don't you give it a like? If you want to see more like this, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to talk to us, leave a comment or join Discord links in the description below. Sergej.
That's it.
That's it.